for joining us. Investigators say it happened earlier this morning. WCBI's Victoria Bailey is live from the courthouse with more on what happened. Victoria?
That's right, Renee. Tense moments for residents here in Fayette, Alabama, as the Fayette Police Department responded to a call for an act of vandalism. 11:45 last night, a bottle filled with a flammable liquid material, better known as a Molotov cocktail, was thrown into the side of the Fayette Community Corrections Center. Now, as you can see behind me, there are charred bricks and a busted window, so minor damages to the side of the building. Now, according to the police chief, Danny Jenkins, there's no injury to report here. There's also no suspect in custody yet. Now, the Fayette Police Department has turned the investigation over to the Alabama Fire Marshal. As information becomes available to us, we'll make it available to you. But for now, in Fayette, Alabama, I'm Victoria Bailey, WCBI News. Renee?
All right, Victoria, thank you for that live report. Time now to send things over to meteorologist Alex Puckett. He has a first look at our forecast. Feeling good out there, Alex?
Yeah, good, but a bit breezy out there. Winds out of the southwest and west-southwest, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. And we could see some wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour as we go through the afternoon. As you look at our Alpha Insurance Sky Cam here in Vernon over at Durham's Pharmacy, you notice a little bit of cloud cover, but you may notice those tree limbs and even the camera shaking in the breeze a little bit there. Temperatures are sitting for the most part in the 70s, a few 60s in the far north where we've seen a little bit more cloud cover. I expect temperatures climb to the upper 70s and lower 80s as we go through the day. Maybe an isolated shower late this afternoon, this evening, but most spots stay dry till this weekend. I'm going to break all that down coming up in a few more minutes. Renee?
All right, Alex, thanks a lot for that update. An East Alabama attorney has been charged with sexually abusing a child. Across state lines, a team of Lee County investigators worked for nearly a year looking into the alleged incident from 2003. Here's the story.
Lee County DA Brandon Hughes believes it takes courage for an adult to come forward about abuse they suffered as a child.
Predators, they prey on children, and they prey on children for a reason. One, it could be just a predilection to choose a child to sexually abuse, but part of it is they have a victim that they can control to some degree, whether it's through threats or intimidation or just asking, hey, keep this a secret.
Prosecutors say delayed disclosure cases are very common, and in this instance led to Friday's arrest of Opelika attorney Gabriel Smith, who practices injury and criminal law cases, according to his website.
In June of 2017, a lady comes to our office and sits down with myself and my investigator and explains what happened to her when she was a young child.
Investigators say in 2003, when Smith was 18 years old, he sexually abused a child under the age of 12. Investigators say Smith knew his victim through Believers Church in Auburn. Ben Hand with Believers tells News 3 the families knew each other prior to joining the church. Mr. Smith was not a member at the time of the alleged incident, nor did it happen on church property. Believers lifts up prayer for all victims.
You know, this case occurred back in 2003. So I would just encourage anyone that knows anything, has any information about this case or anything else they feel like we need to know about, to have them contact either my office or the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Now, Smith made a $50,000 bond the day of his arrest and remains free, awaiting his next court appearance. Well, next on Midday, we are learning new details about the mid-air engine explosion that killed a passenger on a Southwest jet yesterday. Details up next.
Say your first and last name.
Amber Brislin.
You get it? One more time.
Amber Brislin.
Bigelow.
Did you hear it? One more time.
Barbara Bigelow.
You're watching Midday with Renee Skinner.
Welcome back to Midday. Starbucks will close its stores and corporate offices on May 29th for company-wide racial bias training. The announcement comes in response to public protests and calls to boycott Starbucks. Protesters are upset about the arrest of two black men at a Philadelphia store last week. Starbucks Executive Chairman Howard Schultz sat down with CBS This Morning. Lou Young has the story.
I'm embarrassed, ashamed. I think what occurred was reprehensible at every single level.
The founder of America's ubiquitous coffee house and meeting place is deeply remorseful about last week's arrests in Philadelphia of two black men waiting for a business associate, put in cuffs because they hadn't purchased coffee before sitting down. Appearing on CBS This Morning, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz says he met with the manager who made that call. She's no longer with the company, but he says is remorseful about how things turned out. Schultz told CBS's Gayle King he expects the woman will meet with the men.
I think there's a unique opportunity for her and the two gentlemen to sit down and potentially have some kind of reconciliation.
Starbucks plans to close 8,000 of its locations on May 29th for company-wide racial bias training, a move that could cost millions in operating losses.
I think it might just be a PR move because Starbucks is a big company.
I think it's a really good idea.
You believe him?
I do believe him.
This is not going to be a one-day event where we're going to do something and leave. We're going to stay with this. It's going to be significant, it's going to endure, and we're going to transform the way we do business.
Lost in the discussion so far is the restrained way the two handcuffed men behaved. Schultz noted they were passive in the face of such public unfairness. This, he told Gayle King, could have turned to something much, much worse. Lou Young, CBS News, New York.
We are learning new details about the mid-air engine explosion that killed one passenger on a Southwest Airlines jet. Jennifer Reardon, a married mother of two, died yesterday when engine parts shattered a window on Flight 1380 from New York to Dallas. Roughly 20 minutes after takeoff at about 32,000 feet, Southwest Flight 1380's left engine exploded. The blast sent shrapnel tearing through one of the plane's windows, causing the cabin to lose pressure. Terrified passengers reached for oxygen masks as the plane rapidly descended.
The fan section that we're talking about today is designed such that if a part does come off, it would not be catastrophic for the airplane. Had this window not been punctured, today's event would have just been another emergency landing.
She has nerves of steel. That lady, I applaud her. I'm going to send her a Christmas card.
Passengers called Captain Tammy Jo Schultz a hero for landing the plane safely. According to friends at her alma mater, Schultz was among the first female fighter pilots in the U.S. Tuesday's engine failure isn't the first for Southwest, linked to metal fatigue. In August 2016, a similar event occurred on a flight to Orlando. Well, from terrorism to mass shootings to car accidents, victims can die within 5 to 10 minutes from uncontrolled bleeding. Now a nationwide campaign is underway to help teach ordinary people how to respond in emergencies. The initiative is called Stop the Bleed. The Emergency Management Center in Wallingford, Connecticut is taking part in a program which teaches the public how to give aid to someone who is bleeding until medical help can arrive. The Stop the Bleed program was launched after the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. In this program, participants practice on dummies and each other to learn how to pack a wound, apply a tourniquet or a piece of cloth to control bleeding.
Sandy Hook, as well as Pulse nightclub and the Boston Marathon bombing. A lot of people were injured and passed away from blood loss before they were able to reach the hospital or before first responders were able to get there.
Trauma experts say the goal is to make this training as common as CPR. To find out where you can receive training, visit bleedingcontrol.org. Switching gears now, Mike Pompeo, the director of the CIA and President Trump's nominee to be Secretary of State, pulled off a secret visit to North Korea over Easter weekend. The trip comes ahead of a planned summit that will have President Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting face-to-face. Mola Lange has more details from Capitol Hill.
President Trump hinted at it Tuesday afternoon.
We have had direct talks at very high levels, extremely high levels, with North Korea.
And confirmed it on Twitter this morning. CIA Director Mike Pompeo met with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. The meeting was to lay the groundwork for a face-to-face summit between the North Korean leader and President Trump later this year.
We'll be having meetings with Kim Jong-un very soon. That'll be taking place probably in early June or a little before that, assuming things go well. It's possible things won't go well and we won't have the meetings.
The president said 5 summit locations were under consideration. The 2 most likely are a neutral spot in the demilitarized zone separating the North and South, or on a U.S. Navy vessel off the Korean peninsula. Lawmakers were not notified of Pompeo's North Korean trip, and he was vague about what's being done to get ready for the summit during his Senate confirmation hearing last week.
There is work being done today in preparation for the president's proposed meeting with Kim Jong-un.
Pompeo's confirmation as Secretary of State is not guaranteed, with at least 2 Republican senators saying they do not support his nomination. Mola Lange, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
More Midday coming up after the break, but first, here's Alex with a weather update. Alex.
Absolutely gorgeous weather out there this afternoon, but how long does the nice weather last? I'll let you know coming up after the break.
Your first alert forecast with meteorologist Alex Puckett.
We're going to start off with a view of our Alpha Insurance Skycam. That's the view in Vernon, and we'll switch over to the view in Louisville, Mississippi. A few clouds out there, but a good bit of sunshine as well. One of the things you may notice, not just how warm it is, but it's been breezy out there as well. So temperatures sitting in the 60s and 70s to start the afternoon, but those wind speeds have been up. 15 miles an hour in Columbus, 25 in Amory, 22 in Kosciuszko, 23 in Calhoun City. We could see some gusts easily up to 30 miles an hour as we go through the rest of the afternoon. So a little bit breezy, but certainly on the warm side of things as well. Temperatures can be climbing into the upper 70s and lower 80s as we head into the rest of the afternoon hours. So this is going to be another warm day in store for us. Really, you can't ask for much better weather than what is on tap for us today. Here's the Futurecast. This is the latest model run. It's coming a little bit drier than the last model run and maybe a little bit faster as well, indicating we could see maybe a light shower northwest of Natchez Trace as early as 3 or 4 o'clock and then southeast of there as we get into the evening hours. But understand the chance of any one spot getting wet is very, very low, near zero here. We're talking about maybe a 10%, 20% chance of rain at best with this setup. We stay dry Thursday and Friday, a little bit cooler back behind this cold front that's pushing through. On Saturday, you can see some of that rain back off to our west. And then as we head into Sunday, we'll go to the lower resolution model. We'll get that rain to push on through here and perhaps some lingering showers on Monday as well. So we've got this upper level low pushing through. The surface low will stay south of us as it pushes through on Sunday. So I'm not going to see any severe weather threat with this setup, but the potential for some heavier rain. Here's how the upper levels look with this. This is going to be that upper level low I've been talking about. Notice it gets cut off for the most part as it moves on through, and some of the latest model runs has this thing a little bit further to the north. Regardless of that, it's going to give us some extra lift and some rain as we head into Sunday, but it sort of lingers around a bit and sort of gets reabsorbed here. So as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we're going to leave on the board the potential for certainly some extra cloud cover, maybe a couple of lingering showers as well. So again, not impossible you see a light shower as we go through the late afternoon or evening hours, but if you do, it's going to last maybe 10, 15 minutes, certainly not a washout. A little bit cooler as we head into Thursday and Friday, and then the next chance for heavier rain and more widespread rain comes as we get into Sunday, but Saturday, the first half of your weekend, is looking pretty good. Renee?
All right, Alex, thanks a lot for that weather update. Former First Lady Barbara Bush is being remembered as a fiercely loyal wife and mother and a leading public servant in her own right. Both the wife and mother of former presidents, Mrs. Bush died at her home in Houston last night. Weijia Jiang is there.
Flags are at half-staff over the White House, a silent salute to Barbara Bush. The 92-year-old former First Lady died Tuesday evening in Houston, surrounded by family and friends. She had been battling congestive heart failure and was receiving only comfort care in her final days. A motorcade escorted her body as she left her home for the last time. A spokesman said her husband, former President George H.W. Bush, is brokenhearted, but lifted up by his large and supportive family and is determined to be there for them. Their love story lasted more than 70 years.
I fell in love with him practically at first sight. Probably went home and told my mother about him.
A private viewing will take place today and tomorrow. The funeral on Saturday is by invitation only at the Bush family's church.
The entire country, especially the city of Houston, Texas, is going to be grieving for a long time because she was such a presence.
Neighbor Lindy Nyhouse was friends with Mrs. Bush for decades.
She had a wonderful sense of humor. She was such a lady, just the ultimate lady, and she just was so kind and compassionate. I always think if the world could be full of Barbara Bushes, the world would be a much better place.
Former President George W. Bush says he's a lucky man that Barbara Bush was his mother. First Lady Melania Trump plans to pay her respects at the funeral. The White House has not said yet whether President Trump will attend. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Houston.
In Washington, the Senate opened with a prayer and tribute to Mrs. Bush. Well, time now to take a commercial break, but we've got a little more midday ahead. Don't go anywhere.
OMG. It seems like it just goes by so fast.
It is going fast.
Hello, Amber.
Market Street Festival. I'd say that's probably one of my favorite festivals to go to.
Oh, we're
Out of
glad.
all.
It's right out the front door.
All right, now do a mic check one more time.
All right, is that better? Amber, Brislin. Okay, got it.
I'll do the job.
Welcome back, everyone. Joining me live in the studio, I have Mrs. Barbara Bigelow, of course, a familiar face, and then Amber Brislin, a new face to Midday. Well, not new, but you know what I mean. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having us today.
All right, so we're here to talk about Market Street Festival. It's already approaching. OMG, it goes by so fast.
2 weeks. 2 weeks away.
Man, and you ladies are busy, as well as other members of Main Street, getting ready for this festival. Tell me about what's going to happen.
Well, we are putting the finishing touches on for May 4th and 5th, with over 225 arts and crafts vendors, 20 musical acts.
Very nice.
We have over 8 new children's activities this year.
Oh, awesome.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So something for everybody to get excited about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this is not just one day. You can't pack all the fun in just one day.
That's
so
correct.
can you tell us again? Again, it's May 4th through
4th and
5th. Okay, and then so we have kids activities. What else can we look forward to?
We'll tell you. We start off Friday evening from 6 to 10 with a concert at the Riverwalk. We're taking on a beach theme this year, so we want everybody to wear their flip-flops and flowery shirts and come down and have a good time. We start at 6 o'clock. From 6 to 7, we have the Mississippi State Lions. I always get it confused. Mississippi State Lions Club Band.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you.
Very
They were
nice.
with us about 3 years ago, so they're coming back again this year. And then from 8 to 10, we have a band from Atlanta. They're called A1A. It's the original tribute show band to Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we
my
think it'll be a lot of
goodness.
fun.
And I like about this year how you have a beach theme this year. So
Exactly,
that is just
exactly.
awesome. So, okay, so what are you hoping people take away from just coming out to this event? You know, what are you hoping residents get out of Main Street, Market Street, that is, Market Street? What do you hope they get out?
Well, you know, it's a great time for our community to shine. It's one of the largest events throughout the year, and it is the largest fundraiser for downtown Columbus.
Absolutely. And you guys got to keep doing great things in this community,
Right.
and we got to support you. So you
That's
see
right.
the info on your screen, May 4th and 5th, downtown Columbus. Come out to Market Street, folks. It's going to be fun this year. Ladies, thank you for being with me.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, but we will wrap things up after this.
Today I want to talk about a veggie that is often overlooked, but once it's discovered, or shall I say rediscovered, it becomes a new favorite. What is it? It's beets. Let me show you how to cook them. I start by cutting off the tops and trimming the bottoms and placing the bulbs in a pot of water. To that, I add some vinegar, a good amount of sugar, and a bit of salt. After it comes to a boil, I'll let it simmer for about a half an hour or so until the beets are tender. After removing them and letting them cool slightly, I peel them with a knife. And as you can see, it's a good idea to wear gloves so your fingers don't turn beet red. Now we can slice or dice them and serve them on our salads. Or we can cut them into strips and add them back into the sweet and tangy broth that we cooked them in. And after this cools, we end up with a chilled soup that's surprisingly refreshing. Maybe serve this with a boiled potato, some chopped cucumbers and onions, and a dollop of sour cream. One spoonful of this old world classic, and you'll know why this recipe has stood the test of time. To get the recipe for our homemade beet borscht, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an unbeatable way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to say thank you to the Golden Triangle Leadership Organization. They've been here watching us see what we do.
That's
so
right.
Thank you for being our guests. Have a nice
There they are.
afternoon.
Bye, everybody.